Let's bring in Amit Daryanani, Evercore ISI analyst. Amit has a buy on Apple, price target at 210. It's good to see again as we're back to the 50-day. We spent a few weeks below it. Amit, I wonder, what do you think that means in terms of long-term support?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Apple seems to do a lot better when people are concerned about the macro and the environment. It's obviously a much more of a defensive name versus not. So I suspect that's helping Apple a fair amount. And also, the stock historically has run up into iPhone launches. So I think you're seeing a combination of that and perhaps a bit more of a defensive nature on the stock.
What are you expecting on the 12th?
Listen, as you said, it's the iPhone 15s. I do think the innovation on iPhone 15 is going to be heavily skewed towards the Pro Max, the high-end models that they're going to have. And then the new Apple Watches, although based on the data that's out there, it seems like this is going to be very incremental. The big upgrades on watches will be next year as well. But I think the phones, especially the high-end SKUs, will have a lot of innovation, better camera, better casing. What I think that means, though, is even if units don't grow very much, maybe a point or two, ASPs could be up pretty dramatically because I think they might shift consumer buying towards the higher-end models. That's where the differentiation may be more.
What would be different in your expectations about the phones on the lower end? You just sort of talked about the innovation in the higher-end phone. Are you expecting anything for the models below that?
Yeah, what they've typically done is, whatever you see sort of in the 14 Pro Maxes, for example, will come to the 15s, right? So the A14 processor, for example, will be there. The dynamic island that's there right now on the notch will come to the 14. So it will be all incremental stuff, but in fairness, it's going to be a lot of stuff you're seeing in the high-end models on the 14. They're going to bring it to the 15 right now. And then they will bring USB-C charging to all devices. So we'll all have to figure out what we do with these lightning cable dongles now.
How closely do you think that Tim Cook is watching what's going on in China as we have these high-level talks between government officials and what that might mean for Apple's supply chain and manufacturing?
Yeah, I mean, China is immensely important for Apple, right? Both from a supply chain basis and also actually from a demand basis at this point, right? And maybe I'll say there are two parts of it, right? To your point, what's happening on the macro level is crucial, but you're also seeing signs of China consumer weakness, right? You heard HPQ talk about this last night, and a couple of other companies have talked about it as well. So I do think there are a couple of orange flags, if you may, that are out there in China. Of course, I would say from a demand side that seem a little concerning versus anything else.
But the iPhone is obviously still the driver of pretty much everything. I mean, a year from now, we're going to look back at it as a very successful introduction of the latest.
This is what I'd say. So you have 1.2 billion iPhone install base today, and the average iPhone is about 4 years old. This just needs to be a decent product. Does not need to be revolutionary for you to end up with an upgrade cycle. So I do think you look at this and say, you may have hit a natural resistance on when iPhones get upgraded 4 years, and this phone is going to get you there. I think the big part that we'll look back on this phone and say is, how well did Apple move ASPs and consumer buying towards a higher-end model? I think that might be the big story around iPhone 15 as it rolls out.